You're looking at the best there
Austin
is.
316.
What do you guys want to talk about?
I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest. I'm the best. I'm the best in the world.
Let me talk to you. Yeah.
You will rest in peace.
Welcome to episode 5 of the Source WWE, AEW, All Things Wrestling podcast with Joe
and
Mike. Yeah.
On
today's episode, we have an exciting one. We're going to be covering NXT from 2/13/24 and also AEW Dynamite from 2/14/2024. Here we go.
All right, so it was actually a jam-packed, amazing NXT this
So
week.
good.
The bills have been getting better and better. The talent is really starting to get thick.
It makes you wonder how long are they going to stay on this NXT roster.
Oh, yeah. We should see some call-ups soon. We were just discussing that. We're
Absolutely.
hoping that maybe... we'll get into it after
We
a little
will.
bit.
We don't want to spoil anything.
So first up, we have Von Wagner and Robert Stone versus Noam Dar and Oro Menza, as we all know as Metaphor. So this one didn't even start off in the ring. You're backstage, and all of a sudden, it's a shot of Metaphor hanging out in their locker room.
Ooh, what's he doing there?
They're just hanging out. It looks like they're playing with some rubber bands or something along those lines.
Okay, is that what they do before wrestling matches
I
nowadays?
have no idea, but all of a sudden you hear sneak attack, and the duo of Von Wagner and Robert Stone rush into the room and just start annihilating them right off the bat.
That's awesome.
It's pretty comical.
That is cool.
I don't know whether to fear Von Wagner or consider
laugh
him
at him.
adorable or
Right.
what his thing he has going is.
Kinda
Like a
wanna give him
gentle
a hug.
giant kind of thing, Frankenstein type feel to him. But, brawl starts out, the fight goes from the dressing room to the hallway. You end up seeing
Kinda old
Lash
school.
Legend and Jakara Jackson, seeing the brawl and going towards it, and they're coming down towards the ring, You see the two little children of Robert Stone who've making a lot of appearances, the two little cute kids in the
Yep.
in the suits, and they're wearing sunglasses. It's
What could be cooler than that, right?
it's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. So it gets to the ring and things start off. Von Wagner starts it off as you would hope, and then
Yeah, for sure.
when he tags in Robert Stone, Robert Stone used to be a wrestler, so I guess they're trying to work that angle again or something.
Yeah,
along those
if he's
lines.
got
I'm
the
not sure.
experience, I don't see why not, for
Yeah,
sure.
so Robert Stone had some moves but for the most part, it was Metaphor doing the beatdowns towards the end.
Yep, beasting through it.
Jakara Jackson gets involved, and Noah Dar steals the pin for the win. as he
Naturally,
usually does,
Noam Dar.
and,
They cannot let him lose on an NXT show.
They really, seem to be, pushing Metaphor. I hope to see where this goes from here because I'm getting
sure.
kind of sick of it personally. It's a little stale in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
We've seen enough of it. It needs to turn in some kind of direction or do something new. Next up, we have the highly anticipated gauntlet match with
Haven't seen
Ridge
one of these in
Holland.
a while.
Ridge Holland is trying to rework himself. He's trying
Yeah.
to rebrand himself. He's trying to act like the loner, the one that no one likes, the one that's battling back and has to prove himself. He's got a whole angle going on, and one of the angles is going through this group of Gallus, Wolfgang, Mark Coffey, and Joe Coffey.
And it is tough. And Ridge Holland kind of has to build his reputation back up after, the injury spot with Big E where he broke his neck. I know it wasn't Ridge's fault. He caught a lot of slack for that, but it kind of, made his whole character stale.
First up in the gauntlet is Ridge Holland versus Wolfgang.
Okay.
This was a back and forth match. Ridge Holland dominating, obviously, early on. It's the first
sure.
match. He's got to dominate a little bit.
Yeah, he's fresh.
Weird part about this episode is during this match, you see, Ridge do a huge clothesline that sends him out on the mat and all that.
Uh-huh.
Fades to commercial or whatever the case may be. And when it comes back, you see that he's already beaten Wolfgang, and you didn't see how it happened. But they do a replay.
Kind of unfortunate.
So we come back from break, and now it's Ridge Holland versus Mark Coffey.
Yep, opponent number 2.
And Mark Coffey is vicious. He's focusing on the injured leg of Ridge Holland.
Yeah,
He's
why wouldn't he?
vulturing, and then Joe Coffey gets involved. Ref calls for the bell, DQ, and the onslaught
that's two
continues,
now.
and
That's
they
two.
start beating down, Ridge Holland. Now Ridge Holland somehow gets out of the way and grabs a steel chair and
what's
beats
gonna happen.
down all the members of Gallus and got
I
his
like it.
wish. He
I like
literally
it.
totally beat all of them down. And then a very interesting piece of monologue or whatever you want to call it comes after this where Ridge Holland now looks at himself, looks at his hands, backs up, and, all the members of Gallus are rolling around in pain, and he looks like someone who just lost complete control of his anger and is like, oh, wow, I have a problem. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That kind of
what
thing.
did I just do?
Cut to backstage. It's Lexus King,
Yep.
and he's with Von Wagner and Robert Stone, and he's basically saying, Robert Stone, I see your kids need a role model. Well, if they need
Why
a role
not
model,
me?
they should come check out my match tonight. Next up, we got Lola Vice versus Tatum Paxley. Lola Vice, the newcomer. Tatum Paxley,
Making her way. She's had a few matches these last couple weeks on NXT.
Yeah, she's doing pretty good. But, Lola Vice turned in their contract, failed. She's got to have something going for her now.
Absolutely,
you got to figure.
yeah.
So let's hope that they figure out what they're going to do with her now, because that was kind of a wasted...
Right, yeah, kind of a big climax just to be put down.
Mm-hmm. So now we have Lola Vice versus Tatum Paxley, and you hear Lola Vice's theme hit, and then it goes to backstage, and it's the team of Metaphor who we just saw, and they have words with the No Quarter Catch crew. It was, I believe.
Yes, it is. Yep.
With Kemp and
Drew Gulak. Yep, all those dudes.
And they're vowing to come for the cup, and that's
They're
I guess,
admiring
on
it.
their
They're like,
agenda.
Oh yeah, they're admiring it. They really want to win that thing, and they got a shot.
Now Tatum Paxley's music hits, and she comes out to the squared circle, and their match is about to start. It's an even fight, back and forth, and then about midway through the matchup, out comes the champion, Lyra Valkyrie. Lyra is there in support of Tatum Paxley, who's basically her fangirl. She annoys her, but apparently she's here to show support and finally
Right, so she kind of tolerates
her fan a little bit. Looks like Tatum Paxley might have an edge now that, Lyra comes out. She starts battling. Then Lola Vice turns up the heat, beats her down, puts her in a submission, and makes her go out right in front of Lyra Valkyria.
Oof.
Backstage, we see a promo. Luther Cristofino is backstage sucking up to Tony D'Angelo, and he kind of fits the look, it seems like. He's got a blue suit on. Like, could he be the next potential member of the family?
Is he another Goomba?
Where are they going with this? They all hype out Brizzo, and she heads out to the ring. Cut to backstage, Lyra Valkyria is basically carrying Tatum Paxley. When Shotzi walks up, this is the whole monologue where Shotzi and Lyra Valkyria set up their next week matchup, which will be for the title. So
Shotzi gets
tune
a
in
title
for that
shot.
review,
I
because
think
that
this
should
is
be a
the
match.
first match for Shotzi that she's, she's competing for a championship.
So Adriana Rizzo of the family and Jada Parker of OTM. And honestly, they're trying to build up Adriana Rizzo and make her believable and make her a fighter and make her back up the words, because the family talks about her like, oh, she's proven. She always would brawl growing up, and she's always...
so she's got to have thick skin.
So they got to show that in the ring sometime. Rizzo has her moments, but at the end, Jada Parker is just so powerful. She's just bigger and stronger, it seems, and dominates her a little bit. I think it's safe to say that this is a pretty one-sided
it's a one-sided rivalry for sure.
They wanted to give Rizzo her moments so she didn't die out in this push for her, but Jada Parker took the win with her finisher, and that was that.
Boom.
Next up is a creepy Dijak backstage thing where he's on a laptop in a dark room watching video, creeped out by Joe Gacy. I think Joe Gacy's in his head. I really do.
Yeah, he might be.
Next up, we got Carmelo Hayes.
Oh, Mello
the
is
heel,
money.
Heel Carmelo versus Joe Gacy, who I just love lately.
Yeah, man. He's like you said, it's the NXT's version of Mankind or something.
Absolutely. So Carmelo's theme music hits, and he comes walking out to the biggest boos I've heard in NXT, besides when Dominic Mysterio comes to town.
Oh, man.
Now backstage, we got Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin.
Oh, yeah.
The fan favorites right now, really.
Wolf Dogs.
They're back there talking about their title opportunity.
And are they finally going to do it?
Breaker checks Corbin, make sure he's not focused on Taylor Swift and Kelsey and the Chiefs, because he's a big fan. Or he was at games, too, in the box with them.
He is a big Chiefs fan.
So he obviously knows them and stuff and hangs out.
Yep.
He was in the box.
He goes to Chiefs games. He's a big Chiefs fan. And, it's been literally years since Baron Corbin has won any type of gold.
So we get into it, and it's a lot of Carmelo Hayes, hitting shots and Gacy laughing in his face, and I loved it. All of it.
It's awesome. like maniacal almost.
We heard a lot of "Let's Go Gacy" in this one. We also heard a lot of chants of "Mello, you sold out."
Yeah,
and all kinds of stuff like that.
He kind of did.
You're not him. All
Yeah,
kinds of.
he was him, no longer him.
No longer him. At one point, Gacy pretty much like runs away and goes under the ring, and Carmelo looks so confused and weirded out and
Like,
scared.
what's going on?
He looks under the ring, and when he looks up, Gacy's running through the ring and just dives on him. It's crazy. Gacy hit a nice powerbomb in this one, but it was Carmelo Hayes that hit
He's
the
still
nothing
money.
but net.
He's still
from
money.
the top rope on the neck of Gacy and got the 1, 2, 3.
Here's your winner. Mello is still money.
Now, with Gacy incapacitated in the ring, Dijak sees his opportunity, runs into the ring with a straitjacket, puts him in a straitjacket, and it just fades to a shot of Joe Gacy in the straitjacket just laughing his balls off.
I'm assuming he's worn that before.
Now, we have backstage Lexus King, your
My
boy,
guy.
and he pretty
He's
much
getting this.
goes to Obafemi and tells him he wants the title shot. And
Yep, and I honestly say he deserves it. Look at his track record since he showed up, since he left AEW as Brian Pillman Jr. He's now Lexus King, and it's a whole new wave of dominance.
title shot granted. When we return from the break, we see this cryptic message on the screen, which has been going on lately. It says, "Goodness is a man's struggle. Evil, however, is a man's nature." And we don't know what it means. And the literally the announcers say nothing about it when it comes back from
Does not get acknowledged, nothing.
It just keeps happening. So we'll see where that goes. But so backstage now we have Roxanne Perez, and she's, venting about the loss and how it wasn't fair. And
got
how,
a lot on her chest,
Lola Vice turned in her contract, made it a 3-way. It just wasn't fair. It wasn't the title shot that she wanted. And Ren Sinclair basically has something to say about it and gets slapped.
Oof.
And that's that. After that, we cut to a Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs segment where basically, Ava comes in and says, "You guys are going to have a match." Obafemi comes out. His theme hits. North American champion walks on out. He gets on the mic and he does some mic work.
Yeah, and that gold is gleaming. That title's looking good.
He shows that he can do some mic work. He does some mic work with Lexus King, who comes out. They pump up that title match. They brawl it out a little bit, and then it cuts to the next match, which is Kiana James versus Brinley Reese. As we return, Kiana James is coming down to the ring with her theme music with her friend Izzy Dame. Cuts to commercial, cuts out of commercial. We see Brinley Reese, and she's coming out and making her entrance and getting into the squared circle with Kiana James to face this matchup off. This is one of those fights where it looked like Brinley Reese could have won this matchup if Izzy Dame wasn't on the sidelines. So it's pretty much Reese taking control right off the bat, and then once Izzy Dame, interferes and makes it unfair, then it allows Kiana James to get the win. Next up, it's the main event. The family versus the Wolf Dogs, officially.
Wolf Dogs?
Backstage, it's Idris Anafe and Malik Blade, and they're basically talking about, how Brinley Reese is having a tough time lately.
Yeah.
She comes through the curtain in a good mood, saying unfazed, and it's kind of
no
weird.
problem.
First out is the Wolf Dogs for their entrance. Then after them comes out the family, and they start this matchup.
Forget about it.
Braun Breaker dominates this thing early. D'Angelo settles the score and comes in. He's really a powerhouse, too.
Sure
so
is.
it works out. When Corbin comes in, he comes in and cleans out everyone, that kind of
hitting
thing.
Big move after big move, for sure.
At one point, D'Angelo throws Stacks onto Braun Breaker, and Corbin has a weapon and says, "I'm sorry." It's kind of funny.
Yeah, man, you got to do it.
This one had a "This is awesome" chant, so it was a good match. I would
they
go
don't
back
throw
and
that
watch
out there
it
for nothing.
if I were you. But Corbin hit the end of days, and then Braun Breaker hit the spiel, and you got new tag team champions.
tag team
the Wolf
champions.
Dogs, Braun Breaker, and Baron Corbin. And that's your NXT review.
Let's go. We are now going to move on to the AEW Dynamite portion of our show. This is Dynamite from 2/14/24. We're going to jump right into opening match of the night. We have Jon Moxley versus FTR's Dax Hardwood in a singles match, one-on-one, and this match went hard, dude.
Very interesting to see Dax in a singles match.
Yeah, you don't get to see that a lot. It was pretty cool. It's usually him and Cash, so you get to really display the Dax Hardwood of AEW in this match. And they're pulling out all the stops, every big move you could possibly think of. This match, I believe, had either 20 or 30 minute time limit, and it was getting close. But then you got Jon Moxley locking in that rear naked choke to win the match by submission. I will say Hardwood stayed in that submission for a long time, but he really wrenched it back, and he ends up tapping out more power to him. Your winner is Jon Moxley. We then cut backstage to the ever-popular Don Callis family, and he says that Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs are basically victims of their own success. Nobody wants to step in the ring with them anymore because all they do is win. So Don then announces that he's going to put his family members against each other at Revolution. He then says that Konosuke Takeshita and Will Ospreay, one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen in a ring, are going to have a match at Revolution at the pay-per-view, and I'm honestly really, really stoked for that. Next match of the night, we got Mr. Wardlow versus the jobber named Barrett Brown, who is making his 2024 debut. Mike, it was literally a 15-second match. Wardlow hits the powerbomb. It's over.
Of course. He's a fucking powerhouse.
He really is. Not to be confused with Powerhouse Hobbs. Yeah. Cut backstage after the match, we have the Young Bucks arriving in Texas in a private plane. Matt and Nick, they hop out of the plane. They're still wearing the bloody white suits they were wearing when they attacked Sting and Darby, just flaunting. Next up, we have Adam Copeland versus Daniel Garcia. Was supposed to be a really sick match. High hopes for it. Ends up being pretty good, but ruined by Kill Switch, Nick Wayne, Christian Cage. They all come in and just end the match. It's a disqualification. Well, it's technically a no contest, so we didn't really get the match that we really wanted to see. We then see a promo package from last week when Swerve and Hangman Adam Page went at it for that #1 contendership shot.
What a match.
What a match.
What a unsettling finish.
Yes.
But hey, it sets up some cool things.
Yep, we're here to make it right. You got Samoa Joe coming out to the ring. He's stating his claim. He's the best champion AEW's ever seen. Out comes Swerve, and Swerve is just like ripping him apart on the mic, right? Prince Nana's there, it's doing the dance. They're spitting at each other back and forth, and out comes Hangman Page. He's like, no, I'm the one. It's not going to be you guys, and so on and so forth. Swerve then follows with saying he's going head-to-head with some of the biggest legends in wrestling, in AEW, and that Samoa Joe is just going to be another victim of Swerve. We then get Timeless Toni Storm in her newest feature presentation. It's called Wet Ink. So it pans to her, getting a tattoo. And she's actually getting an old tattoo reworked. Her matching tattoo with Deonna Purrazzo is now a little bit modified. She had the artist put a dagger through it, so now she really likes the tattoo. They were best friends. They had matching tattoos. Now Timeless Toni Storm with this complete 180 character change that she's doing right now.
It's fantastic.
It is awesome. She then modifies the tattoo as like another FU to Deonna Purrazzo. Purrazzo is watching this segment backstage, and she comes out and says that Toni Storm, you talk too much, and she then follows up and says she's going to break Toni Storm's arm at Revolution. I'd love to see it. I don't see it happening. Yeah. Next up, we got the Young Bucks versus Top Flight. The Young Bucks actually hit that EVP trigger on Darius Martin. Nick Jackson gets the pinfall victory for his team. The Young Bucks stack a win. Out comes Tony Schiavone. He's getting in the ring with the Young Bucks. They're basically saying they are undefeated this year. They are the tag team to beat, and they just go ahead and, they go out and say it. They're calling out Sting and Darby Allin for those tag titles. The Young Bucks decide they're going to grab Tony Schiavone. They are going to try to hit that EVP trigger on him, but here comes Darby Allin making the save, cuts a heartfelt promo, like you could feel it, man. This kid's on fire, and he accepts the Young Bucks challenge for Revolution with Sting for the Tag Team Championships. Backstage, we pan to the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, where Switchblade Jay White is saying, things are running smooth, they have a lot of momentum going, but they've yet to test out their cohesiveness. Mr. Ass, or Daddy Ass rather, says that they should have a 12-man tag on Rampage Friday night. Next up, we have Willow Nightingale with Stokely Hathaway versus Sky Blue. I'm a Sky Blue fan. I like what she's doing.
She's all right. I can't tell if she's too young to really pop yet. Or
yeah, she's heading in the right direction for sure. So, the match is going. I'm rooting for Sky Blue. She's looking good. Nightingale's looking pretty good too, not going to lie. But yet another distraction from Stokely Hathaway is allowing Willow Nightingale to pick up the win with the big powerbomb. 1, 2, 3. Beat Sky Blue, but not clean. She needed Hathaway to do it. And now it is time for the main event of the evening. AEW International Championship match, freshly squeezed. Orange Cassidy versus Matt Taven in a Texas Death match. This match is exactly what you expected out of it. It's it's everything you could want and more from professional wrestling. They're fighting in the ring, they're fighting outside of it, they're fighting in the stands, they're fighting with the fans. They introduced some weapons. We had tables, chairs. We had Orange Cassidy goes under the ring, right? He pulls out this box of what looks like Valentine's Day chocolates, and it says to OC from Chuck E. T. Chuck Taylor, who's out injured. He opens the box of chocolates. It's a box of thumbtacks. We then get a few brutal thumbtack spots. They're looking like human pin cushions, to quote the GOAT, good old JR. It's looking really painful. Taven gets thrown outside of the ring through a table, and that was a really nasty spill. They're both busted wide open. Orange Cassidy then wraps a chain around his fucking fist and hits that orange punch. 1, 2, 3. Here is your winner and still international champion, Orange Cassidy.
However, Matt Taven has been chirping around saying that was just to soften up Orange Cassidy for the third matchup against Roderick Strong, and he's an idiot to do a death match before that because he's not going to survive now because he's now softened him up.
It was absolutely brutal. Props to those guys. You don't get to see those matches a lot because they do take their toll. It's not touching Swerve and Hangman Page's Texas Death Match, but it's up there, folks. Yeah. And that is going to conclude the AEW Dynamite portion of our show. Let's keep it moving. Once again, like I always do, I'm going to end the show with a little bit of On This Day in wrestling history.
Ezekiel Jackson defeated Christian in an Extreme Rules match to become the last ever ECW champion, and the championship was deactivated and retired after this.
That is tough. In 1997, on this day, Bret Hitman Hart won his 4th WWF World Title at WWF In Your House, the Final Four from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Big classic right there. And on this day, in 2020, in the main event of NXT TakeOver from Portland, Oregon, Adam Cole, baby, retained the NXT Championship against Tommaso Ciampa. Earlier on that night, we actually had some matches that involved guys like Matt Riddle, Pete Dunne, a lot of guys who are now, have moved on to the main roster. Some of them have left, some of them have not. Also notable that today in wrestling history is the birthday of Gangrel. We wish Gangrel a happy birthday.
The Brood.
Yeah. Fanging and banging. And that's going to be the end of our show, guys. Once again, we thank you for tuning in to The Source, WWE, AEW All Things Wrestling Podcast. Please make sure to follow the show, rate the show. It really does go a long way. Once again, you are listening to The Source, WWE, AEW All Things Wrestling Podcast with Joe
and
Mike. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us talk to you.
Let us talk to you.